few years ago, I told an intern he had bad taste. I've spent a lot of time since then wondering why I said it and what I actually meant. I was reacting to a specific kind of intellectual armor that architecture school had given him. Architecture school is very good at teaching you how to make a bold move sound like a cultural necessity. If something is too legible, too easy to understand, it risks being dismissed as unserious. So students learn to reach for complexity. They learn that being difficult is safer than being obvious. But if school doesn't teach taste, where does it come from? Before I could answer that, I realized I needed a framework. I called my friend John Reyes. John is an architect I've known since our days as students. He was one of those people whose eye I trusted implicitly, even when our professional instincts are at war. We decided to walk down Park Avenue and test some of these ideas.
Okay.
Taste.
Yes.
Define taste before we get into this.
I think that's the whole part of it, defining taste. Because when I was talking
We ended up stopping in front of an Aston Martin dealership.
I mean, I guess my question here is, let's look at this car, for example. You're a lower middle class individual and decide to put all your money and buy this thing. Would that be in good taste or bad taste?
Okay, so you're comparing an act being tasteful versus the design of something being tasteful. I would say the act would be in poor taste because you're being financially irresponsible. But the design stuff is still in good.
But doesn't it go hand in hand?
If a person puts their entire life savings into it, leaving themselves with nothing else, is it still in good taste? He said no, and that's where the philosophy became real. He said you have to separate the object from the action. The bad taste wasn't in the leather or the engine, it was in the dishonesty of the relationship. It was pretension, a loud signal that actually revealed the buyer didn't understand the rules of the world they were trying to buy into. Taste, we realized, is the honesty of the relationship between a person, an object, and a context. Yeah, I feel really uneasy about that particular part. Now, why can't a person spend their entire life savings on an Aston Martin? It's a beautiful car. Who am I to judge? The second I move from critiquing the object to critiquing the decision, it sounds personal. It starts to sound like hierarchy, and that's the challenge with talking about taste. It's touchy, it's loaded, it's never neutral for long, but that tension is part of what I'm trying to unpack here. So with that caveat, let's keep going. We walked a few blocks to the Seagram Building, designed by Mies van der Rohe in 1958. As a developer, I look at this building and I see a massive quiet sacrifice. Mies pushed the building back 100 feet from the property line. In a city where every square inch is a battle for profit, he gave up a fortune in buildable space to give the city a granite plaza.
The plaza, that if you look at every single detail inside, it feels like everything is kind of fits in a grid. And
Fits to a grid.
Yeah, and then it really, less is more, right? There's really nothing to take away from this building.
I think it highlights though that, underlying simplicity,
Yeah.
the simplicity of modernism in particular, there's a lot of attention to care
Yeah.
to these very critical elements. And in many ways, and I say this as a practicing
Yeah.
architect, getting that degree of perfection and granularity of scale and detail
Yeah.
is a lot harder than relenting to what market forces want you to do for your building.
Yeah.
Which yields a lot of what we'll be seeing when you walk around another street later on.
Look at the skin of this building. Mies used 1,500 tons of bronze, and these vertical beams we call mullions, they don't actually hold up the building. They're purely for the eye. Some might call that a lie, but standing here it feels like an honest confession. It is the weight of an industrial empire signaling that it can afford to be a little bit inefficient, a little bit ostentatious.
Well, what time is it right now?
Almost 4 o'clock.
Oh, you gotta go, right?
I do.
John had to peel off at 50th Street. He had a meeting, and to be honest, he had some professional ties to the next site that made it hard for him to talk about it on camera. Before peeling off, John said that everything on Park Avenue is the best the architecture world can offer. It's the creme de la creme. Nothing bad exists on Park Avenue. So I kept heading south alone, and after a few blocks later, that tasteful resolve started to fracture. At the base of the new JP Morgan headquarters, these massive stone forms rise from the plaza. It felt like manufactured nature, something applied rather than integrated. But as I stood there without an architect to argue with, a different possibility emerged. History is full of artists taking the empire's money and delivering something that patrons didn't quite ask for. Michelangelo painted bodies in the Sistine Chapel that were too physical, too human for the church's comfort. Rembrandt denied equal visibility to the men who paid for prominence in the night watch. JP Morgan commissioned stone to perhaps project stability, and Maya Lin gave them stone that appeared split under pressure. She took the bank's money to install a permanent record of rupture in the entrance to their lobby. Is it bad taste, or is it a quiet victory? This is where my developer instincts and my architectural background collide. I've often joked with John that architects are the morally bankrupt ones. They're the ones pitching an ornamental flourish or a 70-foot cantilever that adds zero utility. It's a transfer of wealth from a project's viability to an architect's legacy. And yet, if I had it my way entirely, the world would be optimized for efficiency and stripped of meaning. But civilizations are not remembered for how efficient they were. This is the heavy realization about taste. When I look at the Pantheon or the pyramids, I see good taste, but I also see extraction. I see the blood, labor, and power of empires. Great architecture makes brutal deals with humanity. Give us your resources and we will give you something that makes the sacrifice look worth it. When it works, like the Seagram, the beauty compounds across generations. We forgive the debt of its creation. But when it fails, when it's just a pretentious fractured gesture, the sacrifice doesn't compound. It just evaporates. That is why bad taste feels like a moral failure to me. It is a waste of the world's limited resources on a vanity project that doesn't resonate. So can taste be learned? Yes, but it's not about memorizing a style. It's a discipline of attention. It's about walking through a park, a library, and asking why. Why does this room feel calm? Am I responding to the quality of the light, or just the status the building signals? Is this innovative building actually better, or is it just difficult? Because the architect was afraid of being obvious. Taste is the ability to tell the difference between tension that creates meaning and tension that only performs it. It's the refusal to accept the default and the courage to demand honesty from things we build. The final authority isn't the architect, the developer, or the philosopher. It's you. But only if you're willing to look past the bronze and the fracture and decide for yourself if the sacrifice was worth it. Taste isn't a gift we're born with. It's the discipline of seeing the blood in the stone and choosing to build something that honors it anyway.